Now, with thanks to Canterbury, the official kit partner to Irish Rugby, who've revealed the new Irish Rugby jerseys to be worn by the men's and women's team throughout the 2022 season. The new jerseys are on sale at elveries.ie, in-store and on canterbury.com. They're going to be worn by the Irish squad for the couple of women's internationals at the RDS and also the men's team due to play against Japan, New Zealand and Argentina at the Aviva over the next month or so. Delighted to say we're joined now by Ronan Kelleher, Ireland hooker. Ronan, how are you getting on?
Oh, good, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Back into camp. I'd imagine it must be nice to get back after a little bit of a break from the Lions tour and to come into camp as well on the back of a really good performance collectively and individually last weekend in the United Rugby Championship away to Glasgow with Leinster.
Yeah, delighted to get back into camp. Delighted to see all the lads again. Obviously, it doesn't feel like long ago when we were all together in the summer, but yeah, great to see everyone again. And yeah, just it's a good team performance last week for Leinster. So we're raring to go.
I would think for you, after that break, it was nice to get back on the pitch and to maybe just get some miles into the legs before you go back for this period of games with Ireland too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was lucky enough to get the 3 games under the belt as well before coming back in, because obviously a few of the lads only got the 2 games, but I think we're all, as I said, raring to go, and I think everyone's kind of dusted off the cobwebs now and is ready. Yeah.
Does it help with the way the window is now with the United Rugby Championship too, that at least you can park Leinster for a while now? I know in previous years when the autumn internationals were on, it afforded opportunities for young players to play for the province, but to be able to go, right, Leinster, top of the United Rugby Championship, done the job for the first series of games before the break. Now you can very much focus on Ireland before heading into what's going to be a busy period with Europe after the international break too.
Yeah, it probably helps a bit. But yeah, we obviously stay in touch with the boys in Leinster still and the coaches there. So yeah, in ways, obviously it's a little bit easier, but at the same time, it's pretty similar still. Yeah.
You mentioned the summer. What a summer it was for you to get to play a bit of the summer series with Ireland and then to get to go into Lions camp and then travel over to South Africa. When it comes to your development, I would think the summer you've just had has to be very important as a young player to get a chance to tour with the Lions.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was an incredible experience getting over there and just learning from all the different lads over there and the different coaches and stuff. And yeah, I was very grateful for the opportunity to go over and join the lads, albeit late, but it was still a brilliant opportunity for me. Yeah.
When you left that training camp in Jersey, was your expectation, right, I'm going to go back and play the games with Ireland now and probably have a bit of a break for the summer? Were you expecting that you were going to go to South Africa?
Yeah, there was brief chat in Jersey that they might have to bring over a 4th hooker for COVID reasons. So I had a inkling, I suppose, that I might be going back over, but it still wasn't 100%. And obviously these things can change so quickly. So I suppose I kind of knew, but at the same time I wasn't relying on it or anything, and yeah, I was just very focused on the task at hand and just going to let everything play itself out.
Well, you still got to go back into the Irish camp and you got to do a bit of damage when you played against the USA, 4 of your 5 international tries coming in the 1 game. Again, look, a lot of players were away for various different reasons with the Lions and so on at the time, but I'm sure you just relished the opportunity to get out with your country in the summer just gone by.
Yeah, absolutely. And there were two good games for us. The Japan game and obviously the USA, but yeah, it was obviously a lot of learnings came from it as well, and a lot of new caps also came from it, so it was a great window for us, and I think it definitely brought the group closer together as a collective group. So yeah, it was a big window for us. That
the try scoring is obviously a huge part of your game. There was a few jokes being made on social media last week about Scots and when you pick up the ball on the wing, and it's like, did Cian Kelleher actually leave Leinster last year if I see a Kelleher running down the wing? Are you just a frustrated back who ended up becoming a hooker as a teenager, or how did that transition actually happen?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm joking. I suppose I was pushed into hooker I was about 15, 16. But yeah, no, like never had anywhere near the pace to be a back now, unfortunately. But I was obviously delighted with what happened there, how it turned out. But it's all right.
Well, those skills are very important. I mean, if you're going to be contributing from the loose, which is so important now with modern rugby, where a front row is expected to carry the ball quite a bit, I'm sure those skills that you had acquired up until the middle of your teenage years are probably still very important now.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it's getting more and more important in the modern game, just to, I suppose, have the ability to be effective in the loose, both in attack and defence. And yeah, obviously, it's an area in my game that I have to work on a lot. So we work on it a fair bit with Denis Leamy in Leinster and Hugh Hogan before him, and so it's kind of all your individual skill-based work. But yeah, it's an area that we'd all work on a lot, to be fair.
It kind of caught the eye a little bit when Leamy went in and took up this new, I think it's contact skills coach is his official title. What does he bring to the party at Leinster then? Because he's been working away with underage sides for a year, but this is a bit of a change in spec from this season.
So he'd basically be involved in all the, I suppose, individual skills around the contact zone. So in terms of how he'd work on your individual tackle tech and your ruck tech, and then also, I suppose, your carry through contact and stuff like that. So he'd do a lot of work with us, like before pitch sessions, after pitch sessions, as extra little skill blocks and stuff like that, if he might take it. So it's a pretty important role, especially in the current day and age, I suppose, when they're trying to reduce contact out of training. They were able to get that load in a kind of controlled manner. So yeah, it's vital enough sort of role in the minute in terms of World Rugby.
Yeah, because Alan Quinlan was telling us a few weeks ago about Leamy that he's not a guy who did a huge amount of talking when they were playing alongside each other, but when he talked, you knew it was important when he actually spoke. And he said he was a great guy for detail. Like, from the coaching you've got from him so far, is that what you've been picking up?
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of, I suppose, when he's reviewing stuff, he's able to pick up on little things that you might not pick up on yourself. And yeah, that helps us out a lot. So yeah.
What about the front row adjustments around you then? Because did you ever anticipate you might play in a front row with Cian Healy at tight head?
Probably not realistically, but I think, as we've seen, he's done some job transitioning as quickly as he had. And yeah, and so his Port's on the loose head now as well. That brings us back to when I played UCD for that 1 year. He was on the loose head when I came on in my game, so that's something that he's obviously well used to as well. So I think it's been pretty seamless, or I suppose pretty quick learning for the two of them. And yeah, just looking forward to seeing how they progress for the rest of the year in it as well.
Yeah, because for me, with Healy especially, like Porter had played at loosehead before, so you're switching back to something you're used to doing. But for Cian Healy, very much in the autumn of his career, is switching sides, which is a very, very difficult thing to do, even if it was early on in your career. But in all likelihood, and Robin McBride said this back in the summer, this might benefit Ireland as much as Leinster when it comes to the next World Cup, if there's versatile players who are available to play on both sides.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think as well, we've seen just how he's able to cross back as well, considering he played loosehead last week against Glasgow, and just how, I suppose, effortless it looks for him. And that's obviously kind of an indictment on the work that he does, that it's obviously such a difficult task to do, and he kind of makes it look seamless enough. Sure, he was winning scrum penalties on the tight head side and the loose head, so in fairness to him, he's done some job in that regard.
You can give me an insight into Dan Sheehan then. Like, this is a fantastic opportunity for him coming into a camp, and in all likelihood he's going to get capped during these next 3 games as well. This is a reward really for the form that he's been shown at provincial level?
Yeah, absolutely. Sheeno has been great, especially this year and last year. But like, he's been coming for a while now. He's been in excellent form in the AIL, and then also with the A's and Leinster last year, and he's always shown his quality, especially in training and stuff as well. So I think it was always just a matter of when, not if, with him. So yeah, he's getting his reward now, and fully deserved.
It just goes to show that pathway as well. I mean, directly the first thing you say is showing form within the AIL, and then within a very short period of time into an Ireland camp. That kind of pathway has to be available for players to be ambitious too.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the AIL, it's such a big job in the development of a lot of players. So pretty much most of us in here, like, we all would have played AIL for a couple of seasons. And yeah, just the learnings you get in that year, 2 years or 3 years out of school, it's just vital for your development.
These games come up now against Japan, New Zealand and Argentina. I have to admit, the last 2 years going to games at the Aviva Stadium, whether it was empty for the first while in 2020 and then reduced crowds earlier this year, it's been a bit weird going to games there. Like, as a player, how much do you relish the fact that there's going to be, at least for the New Zealand game and possibly for all three, a capacity crowd being there next month? Like, how much of a lift is it to actually have a crowd back into the stadium again?
Oh, it's crazy different. It's just the extra energy you get and the extra like lift and I suppose even enjoyment in the game is just multiplied when there's fans in the stand, especially when it's full house as well. Like even just I suppose like the Scarlets game was just incredible buzz running back out to a full ODS, and I know like running out to Aviva, I only ever got to do it twice off the bench my first year, but really looking forward to having the fans back, and just the difference it makes is just incredible, really.
But even as a hooker, it must be weird where generally you're trying to disguise your calls from the opposition, but it feels more like you're playing in a training game where literally when you're in the stadium and it's empty, you can hear everything echo around. Like even just reporting at games, that's one of the things I found very strange. You could hear calls ahead of scrums, ahead of lineouts. Did you have to vary up your calls given that the opposition could plainly just hear everything?
Not too much, really, to be honest. With the modern calling systems, like it's still very, I suppose, it's a secret language, really. It's the only we can understand. But I suppose one thing that definitely made it easier to hear the calls and stuff like that, when you don't have fans screaming down your neck. But no, it'll be obviously great to have them back, and can't wait really to see them again.
The real standout fixture is coming up on November the 13th. New Zealand's so impressive this summer in the Rugby Championship in retaining their title. Coming back to play in Dublin, it'll bring back some memories, I'm sure, for a lot of the players from a couple of years ago before going to a World Cup. But great chance to pitch yourself up against the All Blacks in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. That will be a great opportunity. Hopefully get selected for that one. But there hasn't been an awful lot of chat about the All Blacks yet. We've just kind of been focusing on Japan for the time being. And then like it's a big window for us, like the 3 big games there against all 3 teams. But you know, the All Blacks is obviously one that everyone in the country will be looking forward to, and hopefully we can replicate what that team did in 2018, 2019.
It's a really important period, I was thinking as well, because you've come off the back of the summer. There's that block of club games, which you spoke about. There's going to be a really intense period with the club game once you come out of this international window. And then straight away, it's into the Six Nations afterwards. You know, with selection being so crucial, we're a couple of years out from the next World Cup too. This is a very important staging ground for getting ready for the Six Nations in the new year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It is indeed. And yeah, we briefly talked about the next World Cup, and I suppose just keeping that in the back of our minds. But yeah, I suppose this window is pretty important to set us off on the right foot in our progression to the next World Cup. And we just talked about getting better each campaign. So there's a couple of blocks now before then, and I suppose from us it's just about collective improvements across each of them campaigns. So yeah, we're looking to get off on the right foot now in this block.
When it comes to individual improvements, Stuart Lancaster was saying last year that you're incredibly focused on trying to add extra parts to your game. You know, we spoke about, you know, you in the loose and getting tries and how important that is to your game, but also I guess you have to work consistently on improving line out, improving various different aspects of your game as you go along. It's still quite a young player, just 23.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's kind of the same with everyone. Like everyone's kind of has that, so it's a growth mindset really, like where everyone knows that we have to get better, like in order to, I suppose, compete. So yeah, that's definitely, I suppose, an aspect among everyone in the group. Like everyone's constantly working to get better, and you can't neglect any part of the game, like because that'll be the area of your game that's found out. So yeah, that's like kind of have to keep on top of things, otherwise you'll get found out.
I appreciate all the focus is on the game against Japan on Saturday week and getting ready for that. But Argentina coming down the track too, like they've had a remarkable summer just gone by, to have handed out a couple of bloody noses along the way in the Rugby Championship too. Again, I think a really good opponent to test yourselves against at the end of next month.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen how good they've been, especially in attack. And obviously, they're electric enough players in the back line. But then they're also tough nose, as you said there. So that'll be a great test for us. So, yeah, just looking forward to this block of games, really. It's 3 big tests now. We saw even in the summer what Japan can do, like, and switch off for a moment. They're underneath the sticks. So we just need to make sure we're switched in for all 3 games.
Yeah, it was a funny kind of performance, that Japan game, where, look, Ireland made mistakes along the way, but every mistake on that day was punished by Japan. Yeah. Japan, I thought, were excellent that day.
Yeah, they were. They were very good. Like, for us, like, at times it felt comfortable, and then all of a sudden, like, really quickly, they were 60 meters down the other end. So it was a kind of weird game, but that's what teams can do at international level. They can punish you. And it just goes to show how you need to stay focused for the full 80 minutes.
And ultimately, I guess it's about consistency as well, Ronan, because Andy Farrell has spoken about this a few times, that in his tenure, there's been some good performances. There's been some patchy games along the way. He felt that with COVID, it probably didn't help to try and get a run of games, and just very different, players training away in pods, and it's not been the same. But now that we get into something that feels a little bit more like normal, adding a consistency to the performance is something you want to do as a squad.
Yeah, absolutely. We're aware that, we're fully aware of that we've had games where we've shown up and we've been very good, but then other games where we haven't been fully focused. So that's a big thing amongst the group, just try and get that consistent performance. Well,
you're going to get a chance to see Ronan in the new Canterbury Ireland jersey, which has just been launched recently. They'll be wearing them against Japan, New Zealand and Argentina over the next month. And if you want to pick up the new Irish jersey, they're on sale at elveries.ie, in store, and on canterbury.com. Ronan, thanks a million for joining us on Off the Ball.
Cheers. Thanks for having me. Thank you.